喺2015年3月8日所播放嘅2012榮耀盼望主日信息入邊，日華牧師分析到，美國 Freemason 原本係想藉住佔領中環運動搞亂香港，再以此藉口令全球開始對香港實行各種制裁。當制裁開始，就能夠針對打擊以香港為基地嘅匯豐銀行，以各種手段使市場失去信心。其一目的係造成恐慌性拋售黃金，令金價大跌，咁樣就可以進一步打擊因油價同埋天然氣價格大幅下滑而面臨崩潰嘅俄羅斯經濟。當一直致力儲備嘅黃金都無法挽救國家經濟，俄羅斯就只能夠選擇發動第3次世界大戰。其實匯豐銀行喺英國同埋香港都係最大嘅銀行，並且係世界銀行界嘅巨頭之一。但喺過去嘅幾年，佢一直飽受各種醜聞困擾。例如2012年7月17日，美國參議院發佈一份調查報告，指稱匯豐銀行涉嫌為墨西哥毒販洗黑錢，為中東恐怖組織融資，以及無視美國對伊朗嘅制裁。而匯豐銀行就此發表致歉聲明，稱將改進反洗錢政策。從交易員違規操作到操縱倫敦銀行同業拆息，再被指控反洗錢不力，銀行業嘅巨頭正一次又一次咁樣搖撼自己嘅百年根基。美國當地時間7月17日，美國參議院就匯豐銀行涉及洗黑錢舉行聽證會。參議院公布咗一份由美國司法部、財政部同埋曼克頓區法院進行嘅調查報告。該報告嘅調查長達多年，頁數為340頁，當中主要指出咗匯豐銀行嘅3宗罪。首先，匯豐未能有效防止墨西哥販毒集團於過去7年喺美國清洗數以10億計美元嘅黑錢。其中喺2007年至到2008年，匯豐於事前得到警告，一筆70億美元嘅現金可能係販毒集團嘅利潤，但匯豐仍然將呢一筆錢從墨西哥轉移到美國。其次，匯豐喺2001年至到2007年間協助客戶轉移嚟自伊朗同埋敘利亞等國嘅可疑資金，期間為伊朗嘅2.5萬筆支付提供便利，共涉及190億美元，當中85% 交易被隱瞞。另外，美國匯豐銀行甚至同一啲阿爾蓋達組織有關聯嘅沙特阿拉伯或者孟加拉銀行有業務往來。匯豐銀行北美首席執行官 Irene Donner 向委員會表示，匯豐辜負監管者、客戶、職員同埋公眾嘅期望，對此深表歉意。但匯豐銀行嘅醜聞並冇就此了結。到咗2015年2月9日，英國 BBC 電視台嘅節目《廣角鏡》爆出驚人內幕。原來匯豐銀行一直幫助佢哋嘅存戶瞞稅，金額更達上億英鎊。2007年，一位告密者泄露出一批資料，廣角鏡記者喺調查中閱覽咗匯豐瑞士私人銀行入邊成千上萬份嘅賬戶資料。文件顯示，銀行僱員協助客戶避稅，並提供方案讓逃稅者走喺法律嘅灰色地帶。匯豐銀行承認有個別人士利用銀行保密嘅優勢嚟持有未經申報嘅賬戶，但銀行方面聲稱已經徹底改革。呢啲文件係喺2007年被一名日內亞為匯豐銀行工作嘅電腦專家盜取，當中涉及世界各地超過10萬名客戶。持有離岸賬戶並唔違反英國法律，但好多人卻利用佢哋嚟隱藏資金，避免稅務部門發現。雖然呢種避稅方式係完全合法，但蓄意隱瞞資金以逃避稅務則屬於非法。法國當局於2013年對呢啲被盜數據進行評估，結論係名單上99.8% 嘅法國公民都可能正在避稅。呢個上千頁嘅數據係由法國報章《世界報》取得，文件其後被分發到國際調查記者同盟、英國《衛報》、BBC 廣角鏡同埋全球超過50間媒體機構，以進行聯合調查。文件包括咗近7000名英國客戶嘅詳細賬戶信息，當中好多賬戶都冇向英國稅務部門申報。英國稅務海關總署喺2010年獲得呢啲被竊數據，並調查出1100名瞞稅人士，但喺近5年嚟，只有1名瞞稅者被提出公訴。HMRC 表示，嗰啲喺瑞士隱藏資產嘅人，至今已向當局歸還1.3億鎊稅款、利息同埋罰款。匯豐銀行不但對避稅者視而不見，喺部分案例入邊，甚至係主動以犯法方式嚟協助客戶。其中一個例子係銀行向一個富有家庭提供海外信用卡，好讓佢哋喺海外提款機提取佢哋嘅隱藏存款。匯豐仲曾經幫助佢嘅避稅客戶躲避法律監管。
On Panorama tonight, serious questions for the government and the city. Why did our biggest bank help wealthy clients dodge tax?
I think they were a tax avoidance and tax evasion service.
When the government found out, why weren't the bank or the cheats prosecuted?
I just don't think the tax authorities have been strong enough, assertive enough, brave enough, tough enough.
And why was the banker in charge appointed to the government?
I'm not prepared to make any comments on HSBC's business, past or present.
I know, but you sort of have to, because at the time you were on millions of pounds and yet the taxpayer was missing out because of things that you were allowing to happen. How can you defend that?
We have leaked files that reveal how HSBC turned a blind eye to crime.
That number of accounts, flabbergasted.
And a whistleblower who says HSBC has broken its promise to change.
They say that those days are gone. Do you think that is true?
And from what I've seen, no.
Tonight, we track down the millionaire tax evaders.
Was it all about tax?
Well, completely confusing.
Let me just ask you a few questions. It's really helpful. Were you a signatory to that account? And did you
I don't know what account you're talking about.
I think you do, sir.
A whistleblower is about to steal the details of over 100,000 clients at a Swiss bank. Hervé Falciani was a computer expert at HSBC. He goes on the run with the bank's secrets in his pocket. The documents Falciani stole eventually ended up with the French authorities. They've prompted investigations around the world. Swiss bank accounts offered total secrecy. HSBC, like many other banks, have a presence in tax havens like Switzerland. They're private banks and they cater for the very wealthy. You can have one of these offshore accounts legitimately, but many people use them to hide cash from the taxman.
There are very few reasons to have an offshore bank account apart from just saving tax. There are some people who can use an offshore account to avoid tax legally. For others, it's just a way to keep money secret.
Panorama has now obtained the Falciani files. They were leaked to the French newspaper Le Monde. Now, the international consortium of investigative journalists has shared the documents with Panorama and The Guardian newspaper.
This is a hugely significant leak, probably one of the largest leaks of its kind. And it has allowed us, for the first time and in an unprecedented way, to look inside the workings of a Swiss bank.
And this is why you should care. When the French investigated, they suspected 99.8% of their citizens on the list were evading tax.
The sheer volume is extraordinary. Look around. These are just the British accounts.
There's almost 7,000 UK clients. Billions of dollars hidden in a Swiss vault. There are details of a further 100,000 clients from around the world.
Just to give you a sense of the scale, we would need another dozen rooms of this size just to put the names on the wall.
They had $118 billion stashed offshore. To keep the data safe, we've kept it under lock and key.
It's a snapshot of accounts from 2007, some open and some closed. It's the detail that's incredible. Now, there are all sorts of people in these files: doctors and dentists, housewives and princesses. Some have large amounts in their accounts.
And attached to some of the accounts were notes written by bankers. They weren't all about tax, but they discussed their wealthy clients. Take Richard Caring, who made his fortune supplying clothes to the British High Street. His tax status allowed him to keep millions away from the taxman. But his notes describe an exceptional transaction. On the day Mr. Caring completed a major business deal, he asked to withdraw some money. 2 days later, he turned up with a security guard to collect £2.25 million in cash.
When we're dealing with the kind of sums that you've mentioned, that on the face of it raises the red flag, because it's difficult to understand why somebody would want that amount of cash.
HSBC says it is common private banking practice to provide customers with cash on receipt of a valid request. But our expert says a reputable bank should not have handed out that much cash.
It throws up all kinds of issues. You take significant amounts of cash out because you are wanting to hide it. There can be no other logical reason.
The notes state that Mr. Caring was opening an account elsewhere, and he didn't want the banks to know about each other. Mr. Caring has told us there was nothing improper about the cash withdrawal and that it was authorised by 3 senior bank officials.
Now, there's nothing illegal about having a Swiss bank account, but we've seen evidence that shows the bank was perfect